if we want to achieve our SDGs, we need to be inclusive. And we can start with youths. So how can we do that? We need to have a deliberate policy, for instance, in the Ministry of Education, so that the children or the youths can start learning in schools. When they will learn about this, they will never get away of it. So it will be a continuation. According to my experience, it's difficult to change the adults, but you can inculcate environmental values into the children, and when they grow up, they will never live under or part into it. So I recommend that under the Ministry of Education throughout Africa, in my country and the world, they should take up this challenge of educating the children and the youths. Because if we did that, then we are going to achieve our goals. It's making me worried because we have only 7 years to go for 2030 to achieve our, SDGs. So children have to learn about climate change. Children have to learn about how they can protect the life that is underwater, and how the children can also, come up with strategies, even technology, starting at the earliest age. Women, they need empowerment. What kind of empowerment am I talking about? Most of the time, when government are developing these policies, women are nowhere to be seen, especially the rural women who are the custodian of these natural resources are nowhere to be seen. Their voices are supposed to be heard. So they are supposed to be consulted when the policies are being made. Women with land should be the most priority, because if we empowered women with land, that means they will be able to achieve the SDG, which talks about a life on land. Because land is everything. Land, that's where we find the forest. That's where we find medicine. That's where we find, wildlife, wild fruits, wild vegetables. For a long time, my continent, Africa, has been depending on the forest. So women need to be empowered. How can they be empowered? Remember that these women, they already have the knowledge. Which knowledge am I talking about? They have the indigenous knowledge. They've been keeping these natural resources using the indigenous knowledge. When I was growing up, Mom used to tell me that they had laws. The chief will call its people and tell them, don't go and temper on the source of the river. Don't go there with your laundry, with your plate to go and wash there. Immediately you do that, according to them, they were saying you get lost. But this is where the scientists are refusing to say that is a myth. It's not a myth. That's one way of protecting the natural resources. What happened today when people have learned and they know that what our forefathers were talking about cannot happen, like someone get lost at the source of the river, is that now people have plundered the natural resources. They have cut down the trees at the source of the rivers, and the evaporation of waters is massive. Billions of tons of water rise to the air and they don't come back. So this is what our ancestors were talking about, hence the climate change. So if we really want to achieve what we want to achieve, the SDGs, let us science and indigenous knowledge. Then we are going to achieve our goals. We should not, we should not refuse the indigenous knowledge, because time immemorial, science up to now has not reached the really rural, remote areas. I love the word countryside. The science has not reached there. And most of the people who live there, women, the youth, are not educated, but they knew how to keep this, natural resources. So, what can we do? The empowerment also of women, like what we in our organization, women are us. They will tell us that no, we know how to lay our goods, but we don't have resources to buy more goods. Find that empower them with goods, and then it's for sure they know how to keep goats. These goats have multiplied. These goats can help a woman to cultivate, because kill a goat and exchange with people who wants to go and help them at the farm. They can kill a goat and sell the meat. They will use the goat milk to feed the children. So already we are talking about life land, reducing the stress that a woman can have, to adding, value to the, how can we have this sustainable food security? So food security can come by involving women. After all, the small-scale farmer, the larger number of small-scale farmers are women. So if we empower them, we bring them to the table, they become leaders as well, so that they can now be able to take up their own challenges. It's only women who can understand themselves. So we don't need to leave anyone behind. For the water, we need to protect the waters, because what is happening nowadays is that people, even, in rivers, in these rivers, in these oceans, but at the end of the day, you find that the water is contaminated, the water is polluted. Remember that in the water itself, there is life, and that is what we depend on. For instance, fish. So there are so many types of fish that we, human beings, depend on because of life in the water. So immediately we deplete these species that are in the river, we are killing ourselves. Hence, what are giving the SDGs. If they took the approach that we take ourselves, first thing, we ask ourselves questions: what will it take, SEPA, to achieve these SDGs? And then we draw up a program. If we brought this to this program, we brought equity, we brought, transformative leadership, we brought all these issues, then we are going to achieve. The other issue is that people should have passion. Whatever you are doing, you must have passion. So there we apply 3H and 2F. What is H and 2F is the head, the heart, the hands, and the F is the legs. So what am I saying? In the head, we plan, we think, we come up with projects. People who came up with these SDGs, they planned, they thought in their mind. They planned in their mind. Then, I think most people skip the heart. Then they go straight to the hands-on. What can we do to achieve this? The legs will take them where they are going. Immediately, you skip the heart, then you lose sight, because you have no passion about it. So passion is the most important thing, because as we are implementing these SDGs, there are challenges. So if you don't have a passion, you are going to stop. You will not continue. In the end, the people will suffer. in the end, the youths will suffer. In the end, women living with disability will suffer. Even people, men living with disability will suffer. So we need to have the passion. The passion will help us fight. To do also think about what the community themselves want. It's not us to design what the community wants. These challenges are faced by them. In fact, the way these challenges are is that they differ. The youths in the urban area, women in urban area and peri-urban, and the youths in the rural areas and the women in the rural areas, we face different types of challenge. So we need to make sure that we bring everyone on board, listen to them, and then they will help us to understand and make sure that we achieve these goals. In my organization, we've done a lot. In one project, for instance, I want to tell you, is that one project can address 11 SDGs. So now, if you took such kind of projects, for instance, let me take agriculture. You are doing climate smart agriculture, which has got 3 pillars: productivity, and you need to include energy, you need to include water. You find that if you do this, you bring in clean energy, you bring in water, you bring in agroecology, for instance. Then there's also education, because when you are giving such kind of project to the communities, you need to give them education. Then there's also life on land. Then there's also ending hunger. Then there's also talking about a well-being of people, because if people can produce more, then they will live healthy. So those are some of the examples that I wanted to share with you, that these SDGs, they are tenable. We can do them. All we need is to change the way we are doing things. We need to be inclusive. We need to make sure that we bring everyone on board. In fact, these SDGs, if they are not going to be implemented nicely, at the end of the day, they'll bring GBV and death. Where there is no equitable contribution or distribution of natural resources or resources, then there is GBV, which will lead to death. So we need to make sure that these resources are equitably distributed. Everyone must take part. If we did that, we are going to achieve so many things. So this is how we've been taking these SDGs. That's where we have put our efforts, because these SDGs talks about almost everything that human beings face. So I think this is what we are doing. And I would like to advise everyone to take this approach to make sure we achieve these SDGs. So remember that success is not about you yourself. Success is how many people have you helped to succeed in terms of the SDGs. Thank you.